Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 16, What If? So finally we have the big episode I think a lot of people have been waiting for, and it was really good. We get to see what happens with this sort of like perfect world that's created, and it turns out that the reason that this thing that's supposed to be the perfect world is actually an absolute disaster is because May, she was the first one who was put into this system. So with Radcliffe having changed basically the biggest regret in her life, we actually see how things would have played out from that point going forward. And I love the way that they did that, because that was the big mystery, like, why in the world is everybody working for HYDRA? Why is HYDRA this big thing that's taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. and basically dismantled S.H.I.E.L.D.? I mean, they killed a buttload of people. Jemma was murdered. We find out, because I was thinking in the last episode, how in the world is she going to escape if she wakes up inside of a casket? And it turns out that she was nowhere near that gravesite. She was shot and murdered and just put into a random hole with a bunch of other students. So we find out that the reason HYDRA took over is because that little girl that May had to kill in the real world, her actually being able to save her, which was the one thing that she always kind of regrets. We find out that if she had saved her, that girl would have kind of lost control again, and a ton of people would have actually died, which ultimately led to S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of falling, and HYDRA gaining a buttload of steam, because it's like, look at this, look at all these Inhumans. And, that was way in the past when that happened. That was before the series actually even started. So, it kind of just set a bunch of crazy things in motion. Like, yeah, look at Inhumans, they're insane. And then, HYDRA just continued to gain steam, and it allowed them to completely take over, and they crushed most of S.H.I.E.L.D. except for, the small resistance. So that was really great to see. We find out, mostly through Coulson, that all the characters' subconscious have allowed them to retain some sort of memories. And it seems to be Coulson more than anyone else, and I'm not sure why that is exactly, but I think it might get brought out a little bit more in Fitz because of his character. And of course we find out, or really Daisy says it, where it's like, it's pretty obvious how they ended up controlling him is because they took you out of his life. So with him having lost Jemma, and of course they kind of tease that in the promo where he does end up finding out. So with him having lost her, that's kind of what pushed him towards HYDRA, and with May it was just taking out the bad guys really, so she kind of saw Inhumans as the bad ones because of, that mission with the little girl and how she saved her, and then that led to an absolute disaster afterwards. So really love the explanation for that. We have the subconscious stuff because of Coulson. We still haven't seen all the characters. I think the only one that really was missing was Mac, and we get to see Radcliffe in the promo as well. Where actually the current director, he was missing. He shows up in the promo too. I can't think of his name for some reason. But it was cool. It was a really cool episode, and it was just, everything just sucks. It was like everybody needs an ID for something. Everybody's getting scanned for everything. It turns out that Ward, which I love this sequence, but we find out he's a good guy in this alternate world where he's actually still working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they have like the whole car chase. I loved all of that because was like, oh, what a shock, he's still a mole and everything, and him being a double agent all the time and double crossing people. And it was just really funny. Like, she's like, oh, how about that, a double agent? So I love that sequence where it's like we find out he's a good guy, but it's like, this is fake you, but still a double agent. How about that? So I really loved how all that played out. And so of course Sky, or well, Daisy, they kept calling it Sky so much, but Daisy and Jemma end up being taken to the Resistance by the end of this episode, and we see that the director of this whole world and the director of this crazy, super powerful version of HYDRA is actually AIDA. So when she found out that they snuck in, because of course she got security on Jemma, she realized, okay, somehow they snuck in, so let me erase this. I knew that wasn't going to work, because that's always the thing. If someone's somewhere they shouldn't be, it's like, okay, we have our instant escape button. Every time they press it on TV, it never works. So of course, as soon as they press it, it's like, we're trapped. Someone knows that we're in here, and they rerouted our exit. So of course we find out that it was the director, who was AIDA, who's in like the all-black outfit, like just super villain mode. And so was Fitz, actually. He was just like super murderous. He was actually kind of cool as a villain just because he was so cold and calculating. It was very interesting to watch him as like this powerful villain. But it was kind of funny, like we get to the end and she's just decked out in all black, and it's like, yep, absolute control. She's, she's got absolute power over everyone and everything inside this world, and she's able to, as long as she can keep this info from Fitz, which it doesn't seem like she can based on the promo, she'll kind of have him under her control and they kiss, and we find out that she's the person whose hand he was holding on to at the end of the last episode when they were both getting out of the car. So I thought that was very interesting, and that's her way of kind of keeping him in control. It's like, okay, get rid of the woman that he loved to make him angry towards Inhumans, and then I'll come in as someone else who hates Inhumans and be like, hey, we can make this work together. And that's kind of how she manipulates him more than anyone else, because everyone else is kind of just falling in line, but with him, she knows there's that like small little backtracking that he could potentially have if he found out the woman that he loved in the past was still alive. And I feel like that's why, because, you know, Jemma had that moment with Daisy where she's like, what if he never actually knew me? And I feel like AIDA wouldn't have avoided, you know, him seeing the footage if it weren't for the fact that they had been together, you know, however many years ago in this alternate reality. So I was like, yeah, that's going to fall apart on her. And they seem to bring Coulson around by the end of the episode where he seemingly remembers Daisy. He says her name, but I'm like, that could have been a little spark. You know, that doesn't mean he'll remember every single thing. But I'm really looking forward to this next episode. This was really fun. We get to see, you know, which it's completely destroyed now if you've seen, you know, what was it, the Captain America Before Last, I forget, Winter Soldier. They've destroyed that whole building, so it's still really cool to see that building. But it was pretty awesome getting to, you know, have them walk around and we see how basically HYDRA operates in this new universe. We get to see, it was actually pretty awesome, but when Daisy and Ward first go into the building and they have like the giant HYDRA symbol, but it's in like 3 dimensions, I was like, that never looked creepy before, but seeing it like just the giant head with the tentacles coming out, I was like, somehow that actually looks creepy in 3 dimensions. So they did a great job on that. It looked kind of cool and creepy. But definitely a fun episode. I'm glad it didn't, you know, conclude just in one. I hope we kind of get like a 3-episode thing out of this, just because it's something that, of course, they're going to have to leave behind. They kind of save, you know, one person at a time or help them remember one at a time. They get Radcliffe in the next episode. And my favorite thing about what they showed in the promo is that it seemed like as soon as they found him, he already remembered everything that happened. So he knows that he's dead and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's actually really awesome. And I'm very curious to see how in the world that's going to play out. And he seems to just be kind of living a life where it's like, oh, well, I'm screwed. Like, I'm dead. I might as well just be happy and let her do whatever she's going to do. And we'll see what happens. So I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do with Radcliffe's character and, you know, what he's going to decide to do. Because I believe ultimately they are going to destroy the framework and he's going to be gone. But I don't know. It's really hard to say how that's going to play out. But I'm really looking forward to this next episode. Really great episode to come back on, which I think we all knew it was going to be. But it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. And we're going to get even more of the characters in next week's episode. I'm very curious how Mac is kind of incorporated into all this, because we see him hugging his daughter in the promo. So it makes me wonder if he was formerly a part of S.H.I.E.L.D, but he actually ended up leaving once kind of all the chaos hit. So maybe there's something, you know, something like that in there. But either way, the next episode should be pretty fun. This was really great. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what do you guys want to see from this alternate reality? We have, you know, still a couple of characters. I don't know if we'll get to see, you know, like all of our other Inhuman characters, like if Yo-Yo will make an appearance, if we'll see, you know, some of the other random agents. Like there's, I think, 3 agents total that are actually kind of hovering over Daisy and Jemma's bodies right now. So I don't know if they'll make random appearances in this alternate universe as well. But we'd love to know what you guys want to see. Excuse me. One of the big differences, of course, in this universe is that Daisy doesn't have her abilities because she never went through the Terrigenesis process. So there's a lot of random stuff going on. We actually get to see Nadir's brother, who I totally forgot about, and as soon as they showed his picture, I was like, oh yeah, when they get out of this, he still has to come back to life because he was like killed, and then he went back into a husk, so he's at the bottom of the water, and we still don't know what happened with that guy. So even after all this crazy alternate reality stuff, he still has to kind of make his way back into the show from the bottom of the ocean. So I was glad to see him, because I kind of forgot, especially because it's been a super long time. It feels like forever since the show's been on. But it was like, oh yeah, he's at the bottom of the water in the real world. And, you know, aside from the mystery of how things are going to play out in here, we still have to go back to what the heck is going to happen out there. So looking forward to that. But like I said, we'd love to know which characters you guys would like to see, or just what you guys want to see from this alternate reality in general. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.